Hi there. Welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are marrying strength and flexibility for leaner, longer body lines. Those two components, strength and flexibility, become increasingly important the older we become for easy, comfortable movement in our daily lives. As always, I'd like you to play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and feel comfortable to take a time out by pausing the stream should you need to. You ready to work? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for today's class coming into a standing frame towards the back end of the mat. And I'd like you to stand up nice and tall with your feet stacking in parallel underneath your hips. Stand up nice and tall, stacking your shoulders over your hips over your knees, and your knees over your ankles. You're going to place your hands on your hip bones for me, and you're going to focus on your pelvis. You're going to start with a comfortable neutral spine, allowing for that natural S-curve shape in your spine. You're going to soften the knees somewhat, and you're going to tilt your pelvis up to the 12 o'clock position as if you were bringing your tailbone in towards your belly button, and then float down to the 6 o'clock position. So you oscillating dynamically between the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock position, decreasing and increasing that natural S-curve shape in your spine. As you play, I'd like you to softly pull the belly button in towards the center line so that you're keeping your tummy softly engaged as you tilt between the 12 and the 6 o'clock position. You're going to give me 2 more sets like this, and then we're going to take the movement side to side between the 3 and the 9 o'clock position. I'm going to give you a front view. You're going to just gently sway your hips side to side, playing between the 3 and the 9 o'clock position. Give me a soft knee frame, so almost a little micro bend in the knees. Don't lock them out. Get your groove on. Now we're going to tie those 4 positions together. So pretend that you're moving down the face of the clock. You're going to give me a full pelvic circle, tracing between the 12 o'clock, the 3 o'clock, the 6 o'clock, and the 9 o'clock position. And you're going to keep tracing that circle in the same direction. So front view, you're giving me a full 360-degree rotation through the hip. Change and move your circle in the opposite direction. Keep those knees nice and soft. Keep the belly button gently pulled into the center line to keep your belly engaged. You're going to give me 2 more little circles. And then you're going to come to stillness, lengthen up through the legs, and you're going to open up the left knee to the side of the room, softly tapping the toe out on the mat and externally rotating through the hip joint. Then change and move in the opposite direction. We're going to change sides, taking the right knee out to the side, tracing a big circular pattern in one direction. And then let's change it up. Bringing that knee in towards the midline and internally rotating through the hip joint, either tapping out on the mat or you can keep that foot hovering if you prefer. Come to stillness along the midline of the body. Check that your feet are still stacking in parallel underneath your hips. And just softly bend one knee at a time. You can even bring it up onto the toes and bring your heels off the floor as you mimic walking in place. Keep that stack of your shoulders over your hips. Keep that belly button softly pulled in and think length through the spine, almost pushing your hips down towards the floor and lengthening through the spine. Then come to stillness along the midline of the body. We're going to roll it down. We'll keep the first one standard and then we'll start playing it up. Start with your shoulders, your hips, your knees and your ankles stacked. Tuck the tailbone under, pull the belly button in. Take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, nod your chin to your chest and slowly start peeling down, hollowing out through the body as you roll down one vertebra at a time. Root through the inner thighs. Pull up from your pubis towards your sternum to come back up. You're either going to stay here with the arms long and dangly at your sides as you keep rinsing and repeating, rolling up and down, or you're going to start with some gentle play. Float your arms overhead, arcing over that ball to swim your arms down and away, and then softly peel back up along the center line. Big breath in, swim your arms overhead as if you were arcing around the ball with your arms to float the arms away, reaching away from you, and then gently soften through the knees as you roll back up to restack and realign your body. Sync your movement to your breath and make sure that you're moving mindfully. Take a big inhale to prepare. Use a whole exhalation to roll down. Take a recovery inhalation and use a whole exhalation to peel back up, restack and realign your shoulders over your hips over your knees, and your knees over your ankles. Make sure that you're mobilizing down one vertebra at a time, so lots of control, not only through the spine, but through the core as you roll up and down. Last one. We're going to hold the forward fold as you come down. So depending on your range of motion, you're either going to place your fingertips on the floor as you walk out through the legs, or you can gently place your hands on your hips as you gently bend one knee at a time and take a little walk, more or less from a tabletop line with that belly button firmly pulled in. Alrighty, let's begin playing. You're going to bend one leg and extend the other. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, you're going to thread underneath that armpit, and you're going to keep cycling through, tucking under. If you're playing from the tabletop position, just arc the one arm up and down as you bend and extend through the legs as if you wanted to thread underneath your opposite armpit. All right, give me two more on this side, and then we'll change sides. Find your flow, and you're going to keep tucking under and opening up, preferably fingertips on the floor. You could even place a block maybe underneath the hand if you've got one at hand, or just modify your movement and play from the waist. Last one. You're going to gently circle both arms overhead as you keep extending more or less from a tabletop line, really opening up the back chain of the legs as you circle out. Then softly peel up along the center line, ragdoll, rolling up to restack and realign your body. Place your hands on your hips, soften the knees, and trace that big 360-degree rotation through the pelvis. Think belly dancing 101. Giving me a few rotations in one direction, and then changing and moving your circular trace in the opposite direction. As you complete the last one, you're going to stand up nice and tall. Check that your feet are stacking underneath your hips, or you can heel toe in and connect the big toe and the ankles. Just see what feels most comfortable for you. You're going to start with the arms long and lengthened at your side. We're coming down onto the haunches. You're going to take a big breath in, and on the exhale, you're going to sit down, floating the weight off your heels, and come back to your start position. Rinsing and repeating between the two. If the knees are feeling niggly today, place your hands on your hips or behind your head and just give me half a seat, gently bumping the weight back. So our hands either behind your head or just gently on the hips as you bump the weight back. Careful to keep your knees behind your toe line as you play. So just find what works for you this morning. Either playing between a high standing line, think mountain, and coming all the way down on the haunches. Let's do two more. Then we're going to gently bring ourselves to a seated frame on the mat. The next time you come down, peel the hands back behind you and find a seat more or less in the middle of your mat. You're going to sit up nice and tall with the feet about hip width distance apart and brace your hands softly on your shins. You're going to sit up nice and tall, thinking of stacking your shoulders over your hips. And on an exhale, you're going to round out, nodding your chin to your chest, pushing softly with your hands into the shins so that you can feel a strong contraction through the core. Inhale to float back to your start position. You're going to find a steady rhythm of your own, playing between that straight back line and that soft, rounded C-curve frame. pushing softly into the inner thighs, and mindfully, as you round out, think of drawing up along the inner thighs as if you were pulling a zip, and then pull up really strongly from the pubic bone towards your sternum, so that you're totally committed on the inner thighs and the core as you round out. And you obviously tied in the arms, the shoulders, the upper back as well, by softly pushing into your shins and making sure that you're totally engaged. Exhale to round down. Inhale to float back to your start position. You're going to give me 2 more. And then after the next one, we're going to bring it into a boat hold and we'll play with the boat. Tilt the weight just off your tailbone, either bracing the hands softly behind your thighs or extending the arms so that they're parallel to your bent tabletop leg line. Weight is just off the tailbone, and you're drawing along those inner thighs and pulling up strongly from the pubis to hold your line. Stay or play. Float into a butterfly line, reaching your hands together in front, maybe coming into Jupiter Mudra if you like, by interlacing the fingers, bringing the index fingers together and crossing the thumbs, or just bringing your hands into a soft prayer-like position and floating your legs into a butterfly line with the soles of your feet together and the knees softly splayed out, using a lot of inner thigh and strong pull up from the pubis to hold that position. Then just reach with your hands for the front of the ankles and give me a little hang here, holding strongly onto the feet. You could even tuck from underneath if you like and think seal. Just find a hold that works for you. Keep the weight off the tailbone so that you're forcing yourself to engage your inner thighs and that abdominal pull up from the pubic bone towards the sternum. We're going to use a little fall back and we're going to hold it. Think hollow hold. Take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, you're going to lean back, hovering your arms alongside your body, scooping through the body and giving me a hollow frame. Think of touching the wall with your fingertips and your toes. Then gently float softly down to the mat and float your hands overhead, taking a little stretch here. You're going to isolate your stretch on the right side. Think right fingertip to toe, with the left side passive and relaxed and your belly button heavy to the mat. Then change sides, lengthening from the left big toe to the left fingertip, and then oscillate dynamically between the two, stretching on the one side, relaxing on the other, almost hiking your hip up on the one side as you stretch and dropping the hip down on the other side as you stretch. Let's do 2 more. Then gently interlace the hands, brace into the feet, and take a nice little stretch here. From your long extended line, bend the knees, drag the toes along the mat, tilt your pelvis to the 12 o'clock position, scoop to peel up and tuck into a little ball frame. Then inhale to come back into extension. We're just going to do that twice more. As you bend the knees and drag along with the toes, I want you to zipper up on the inner thighs and feel a nice contraction through the core as you tuck into that little ball frame. 1 more, exhaling as you come up and inhaling as you come back down to the mat. You're going to keep your arms overhead if you can, and you're going to bend the knees, connecting the soles of the feet to the mat. Find your way into a comfortable neutral spine position. And actually, let's change it up. Let's bring those arms down alongside the body. We're going to work a dynamic bridge, but let's find the bridge first, and then we'll start playing with the arms. Start in your neutral spine position, feet and knees hip width distance apart. You're going to take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, tilt your pelvis to the 12 o'clock position so that your lower back imprints into the mat. Start peeling up 1 vertebra at a time, disconnecting your bum line from the mat and coming up nice and high in your bridge. Pause here for a beat or 2. And then soften through the front and the back chain of your legs and peel back down to your start position. You're going to either rinse and repeat with the arms long and lengthened at your side, or you're going to float the arms overhead the next time that you roll up into your bridge line so that you can drop the arms to the mat overhead. And then as you float down, the arms follow suit to land softly, palm down into the mat. You're going to rinse and repeat. Thinking of that mobilization along the front and the back chain of the leg as you reach the apex of your bridge. And then bring it back down with control, making sure that you've got a comfortable stack of your knees over your ankles when you're at the apex of your bridge, and check that you're bringing up the hips nice and evenly towards the ceiling with your chin tucked firmly towards the chest so that you don't tweak the neck. Let's do one more, then we'll take it into active recovery before we come into our next bridge line. Peel back down to the mat, and as you do so, keep the arms long and lengthened at your side, or tuck them palms down underneath the bum, making maybe a soft diamond frame on the mat to support your lower back. You're going to draw the legs up into a gentle tabletop line. Don't pull the knees in too close to the chest. Check that you've got a comfortable stack of your knees over your ankles. You're going to take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, you're going to come just off the center line to the left, pausing. Inhale to come back, and exhale to take it over to the other side. You're going to gently oscillate off center, side to side, like a slow moving metronome. Make sure that you're pausing and holding off the center line for a few seconds before you draw back. I want you to work for that little tug from the rib cage to the hip bone so that you're feeling a nice, almost soft diagonal stretch shaping into the trunk. Let's do one more to each side. Then we're going to come back to the bridge line, but we're going to change the foot line and bring it to a narrow bridge. So the next time you come down to the mat, drop the feet together along the midline of the body so that you've got a foot framing on either side of your nose line on the mat. Check that the feet are not too far away from your body. Begin in neutral spine. You're going to roll up through your bridge line as you usually would, keeping that narrow stance. And the feet don't have to be pushed flush against each other. You can just give me a narrower than usual stance on the mat. You're going to float the right leg out in front of you so that both knees are in line with each other. You're going to bring the right leg just off center and then back to the midline, squeezing the two inner thighs together as you come back towards the midline. Give me one more like this. Then you're going to float the leg up towards the ceiling and back to your start position, stopping when both knees are alongside each other and keeping a strong frame on your opposite side. Now we're going to marry the two together, and you're going to take the leg out to the side and up to the ceiling as if you were tracing an L shape in the air with your leg. Keep the little movement out to the side small, so don't make it too big. Keep your L in proportion. All right. Come back down along the center line, find your narrow bridge, soften through the shoulder blades and roll down with control. As soon as you hit neutral spine, draw the legs back up into your tabletop and repeat your little tick-tock, either with a bent leg, or if you want to work the next progression, you're going to bring the legs into a long extended line, and you're going to gently tick-tock side to side like a slow moving metronome. If you find it too hard to work with an extended leg line, repeat the soft bent knee line that we used in round one. Make sure that you're pausing for a beat just off the center line before you come back to center. Don't just flow through side to side. You're pausing in the center line between your tick-tock to the side. Last one. We're going to come back to that narrow bridge and we're going to work the left side. Make sure that the feet are closer together along the midline of the body. From neutral spine, tilt your pelvis to 12 o'clock. Start rolling up through your bridge line. Find it nice and high on the shoulders. Extend the left leg so that it's in line with your right knee. And then slowly start taking the leg just off the center line and then squeezing both knees together to come back towards the center line. Now take the leg up to the ceiling and back to your start position, stopping when both knees are softly alongside each other. Ready to play? Let's begin tracing that L shape, taking the leg softly out to the side before floating it gently up towards the ceiling. Keeping a nice high bridge line on your supportive side. One more. And we'll gently bring it down. Find your high bridge line first. Open up the shoulder blades. Bring it down with control. As soon as you find your neutral spine position on the mat, draw your legs into that little tabletop line with a bent leg and trace a little circular pattern with the knees clockwise and then anti-clockwise. Try to connect to the full spectrum of your abs as you gently circle out, and maybe use the circumference of a tennis ball as your guideline. Don't rush through that circular trace. Give me a slow and controlled little trace, inhaling for half of your circle circumference, and then gently exhaling for the other half. Make your movements mindful. Make sure that you're in control the whole time. As you complete your last little trace, you're gently going to tuck into that little ball frame. Take a big breath in, exhale as you drag the toes along the mat, coming into a little stretch, bracing into the heels. And then exhale to bend the knees, drag the big toes, connect to your inner thighs and your core as you tuck into that little ball. Inhale as you open up. One more, and then we're going to flip over onto the side and we're going to play. The next time you come into extension, gently roll over onto one side. Give me a small prop on the bottom arm, preferably, so that your head is resting in your hand, or you can use that bottom arm as a long extended pillow. Brace your top hand into the mat and check that your hips, knees, and ankles are softly aligned. Then lift, hold, and hover the legs off the mat, and you're going to play with the foot line, bracing into the heels and then softly toeing out. And you're going to do roughly 20 little repetitions, trying to keep those feet floating in a soft parallel line with the bottom leg off the mat. So you're hovering slightly, almost in suspended animation as you play with the toes. And I want you to keep softly pulling up from the pubic bone towards your belly button line. All right, let's do two more. And then we'll play with the top leg. Try to keep the bottom leg hovering off the mat as you slowly float the top leg up and back down to your start position. Don't rush through it. Slow and controlled. Exhaling as you float the leg up, and then gently inhaling as you float the leg down. Let's do four more. And then we're going to trace a modified scissoring pattern with the legs. So as you complete the last one, start with your legs back in parallel and moving parallel to the floor. You're going to give me small scissor walking-like actions, keeping a soft toe line, no tension in the feet, just keep them soft and relaxed. And think of driving the movement by engaging your belly button and the core as if you were pulling a little piece of string. All right, two more. As you complete the last one, you're going to softly float back down to the mat. Find that long extended line. On an exhale, bend the knees, tuck into your little ball. Inhale to drag, connecting to the inner thighs and taking a nice stretch into the lower belly. Exhale, tip, tuck, and scoop. Let's do one more. Then we'll roll over onto the other side. So my back will be to you for the next set. Roll over onto your other side. Find your prop on the bottom arm. Check that your body line is stacked. Hover your legs off the mat. And then begin toeing and heeling out. Keeping the legs hovering off the floor. So think suspended animation. As you find that hold, drawing up gently along the inner thighs and pulling up really strongly from the pubis towards your sternum to keep those legs floating. Let's do four more. And then we're going to lift and lower the top leg. Keeping your toe line soft. You're going to keep the bottom leg floating off the mat as you raise the top leg softly towards the ceiling, as high as your range of motion allows today. And draw it back softly to your start position. Make sure that you're not clawing through the feet. So from the knee to the toe, you're soft. And all the work is happening above the knee line and below your chest line. You're going to give me two more like this. Then we're going to come to that parallel scissoring action. And you're going to move the legs parallel to the mat as you softly think of scissor walking one leg in front of the other. Let's do 3 more. Then we'll roll back onto the back and take it into recovery. As you complete your last set, gently ease your way back onto your back. Tuck into a little ball frame, hugging the knees in towards the chest. Inhale to gently open up. Rinse and repeat. Let's do 2 more, and then we're going to end nice and lengthened on the mat. And we'll mimic that internal and external hip rotation we played with right in the beginning of the class. Float your legs into a small Pilates V with your heels together and the toes softly splayed out. Allow for a comfortable neutral spine position, so a little space between your lower back and the mat, and the hands soft and relaxed at your side. Take the right knee out to the side and then draw it in towards the midline of the body. Keep tracing that pattern, but don't totally disconnect the right foot from the mat. Keep the foot gently connected to the mat at all times. Then change the direction of your circular trace, internally rotating as you draw the knee in towards the midline first and then out to the side. Make sure that your supported leg stays in the turnout position. Let's change sides. Find your little V frame. Draw the left knee out to the side and then in towards the midline, and keep caressing the floor gently with your left foot. So there's always a portion of the left foot that's softly connected to the floor. You're not lifting the foot totally off the mat. Let's change sides. Drawing the knee in towards the midline of the body before allowing it to softly splay out to the side and keeping your belly button softly pulled in to center. Last one. Bend the knees, connect the soles of the feet to the mat and set up a figure 4 on the right by taking the right ankle and resting it atop the left thigh, allowing the knee to softly open up to the side of the room. Start with the arms long and lengthened at your side and a comfortable neutral spine position. Take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, draw your left knee up to the 90 position and keep pulling the left knee in towards your nose while almost trying to resist with the right knee and pushing the right knee away from you. Feel that little bit of oppositional stretch and feel the belly begin to kick in. Then softly relax that left foot to the floor. Take a recovery breath. Exhale to draw the knee back up. Stay or play. Take a big breath in. Scoop to peel up off your shoulders. Feed the hands through and around to lace behind your left thigh, almost softening out the elbows to the side of the room. And then when you're ready, slowly draw your torso back to the mat, trying to gently pull that left knee closer towards your nose. Keep your chin line as soft and relaxed as you can. And then gently see if you can extend the left foot, kicking that whole foot into the ceiling. Now gently scoop, peel up. Take your right foot off the left leg and place it gently on the floor. Run your hands up along the back chain of the leg and see if you can hug that thigh in closer towards your chest, keeping your supported leg bent and on the mat. You scooped, you've got the weight off the shoulders and your core is engaged. Then gently tuck into the figure 4 position on the left. So the left ankle is atop the right thigh. Take a big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, draw your right knee in towards your nose and pause here for a few breaths, actively pulling the knee on the right up towards your nose and trying to resist or push the left knee away from your nose. Float softly back down to the mat and take a time out. Big breath in to prepare. Use the exhale to push back up into your position. Take a big breath in, scoop to peel up, wrap around your thighs, floating the elbows out to the side of the room, pausing here in that scooped frame for a beat, and then gently reconnect yourself to the mat, trying to keep your chin line as soft and relaxed as you can manage. And then extend that right leg and brace softly into the foot. Take a big breath in, scoop to peel up, pause here for a beat. Then uncouple your figure four, place the left foot on the floor, run the hands up along the back chain of the right leg as far as you can, and gently allow the elbows to splay out to the side of the room as you gently think of hugging that knee or that thigh in closer towards your chest, keeping a slight scooped frame on the mat. From here, we're going to find our way onto the elbows, maybe dropping both knees to the floor and gently propping yourself up on the elbows. Check that you're not collapsing your frame. So I want you to push through the forearms and float your bosom up to the ceiling. If you need to, you can use your hand towel just underneath your tailbone if you've got a particularly bony tailbone. You're going to gently draw your legs up into a tabletop line, and you're going to trace a small circular pattern clockwise with the knees, as if you were tracing a tennis ball. And then you're going to move clockwise and anti-clockwise. You're either going to stay here and work with your bent knee, or you're going to gently begin extending your legs, and you're going to give me a full hip twister with the legs long and lengthened. If you find this too challenging, then stay with a bent knee option, tracing around a tennis ball. If you're working with an extended leg line, maybe use a bigger diameter, maybe a soccer ball or a basketball as your circumference guideline. Try to connect to the full spectrum of your abs. Last one. As you complete the last one, you're going to keep the legs floating up towards the ceiling, and you're going to work a slow alternating scissoring motion, dropping one leg and trying to hover it just off the floor if you can, and hovering the other leg up to the ceiling. Check that you're not collapsing through your chest. So you're pushing the mat strongly away with your forearms, and you keep floating your bosom and your rib cage up towards the ceiling. Keep your core engaged. Last one, we're going to rock up from here into a seated frame on the mat. And you're just going to sit up nice and tall towards the top end of your mat. Check that you're not hanging off your tailbone. Move your butt flesh out the way. Sit up nice and tall. And just drop the arms long and lengthened at your side. And think of trying to stack your shoulders over your hips. Give me a soft brace into the feet, so that the heels come up off the mat and you can feel a strong engagement or a pull-up along the inner thighs, and then from your pubic bone towards your chest line. Relax, shake it out, and open up your feet, maybe about hip-width distance apart. Take a big breath in, floating your hands overhead. On an exhale, round out as if you were stretching over a ball to drop your fingertips to the mat. And then drag the fingertips along your body line to restack and realign your shoulders over your hips. Let's rinse and repeat. Big breath in. Scoop to round out over an imaginary ball. And then drag the fingertips in, thinking of drawing up along the inner thighs and pulling up strongly from the pubis as you restack. Exhale to round out. Inhale to draw up. Big breath in. Last one. Then you're going to change your leg lines slightly. Bringing the feet in a little bit closer. You're going to think of gently just placing your fingertips on the mat as you bend one leg and extend the other. Then start cycling through, almost bracing into your heels and pushing the leg away from you. Either just keeping your fingertips softly connected to the mat alongside you, or if you do have the range of motion, you can reach for both sets of big toes, and you can increase your stretch by pushing into the hand as you extend the leg. Play where you're comfortable. And then try to extend both legs together, preferably holding onto the toes or just keeping your fingertips gently connected to the mat. But extending the legs, trying to relax the kneecaps and not allow the kneecaps to come up towards the ceiling. Peel softly up along the center line and take the right leg out slightly, almost as if you were aiming for the corner of your mat. You're going to bend the left leg and place the sole of the foot on the inseam of the right leg. You're going to take a big breath in, and on the exhale, you're going to fold forward, trying to wrap around the foot or just dropping your fingertips or your palms gently to the mat. Don't force the stretch, just gently fold forward. Try to hinge forward from the hip and not round out through the back. Peel back up along the center line. Bend the left leg. Bring your right leg in so that it's comfortably in front of you, and place the sole of the left foot on the inside of the right leg. You're going to gently twist to the left, cupping opposite hand to knee, and you're going to come into a soft little spinal twist, bracing into the foot of your supported leg as if you were kicking against the wall, trying to stack your shoulders over your hips, pulling up along the inner thighs and strongly from the pubis towards the center line. Then take your twist in the opposite direction, hugging same hand to knee as you look over the back shoulder. Keep bracing into your supported leg. Keep your spine long and lengthened. And then gently peel back towards the center line. Keep hugging that knee into your chest. Float the right arm overhead behind you and place the hand palm down between the two shoulder blades. Keep squeezing the left knee in towards the midline of the body as you float the left arm overhead to grab hold of your elbow and tuck it in towards the midline of the body. Don't allow that left knee to splay out. Keep softly squeezing it into the center line. Either staying here or finding a little cow face grip by floating your left hand behind and around and behind to interlace the two fingers and grab the two sets of fingertips in a little bear grip. Keep squeezing the two knees together along the midline of the body. Come back towards your midline position. Give the legs a little shake out. Sitting up nice and tall. You're going to rinse and repeat on the other side. Splay the left leg out softly, aiming for the edge of your mat. Bend the right leg. Place the sole of the foot on the inseam of the left leg. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, softly fold forward, hinging from the hip. Keep your belly button softly pulled in, either binding around the foot or just gently dropping your fingertips to the mat. Keep the belly button softly pulled into center. Peel back up along the midline of the body, bending the right leg, bringing the legs back to center, tucking your right foot on the inside of the left leg. Take a big breath in and twist to the right, cupping opposite hand to leg. Brace into your long and extended leg. Make sure you've got your shoulders stacked over your hips and that you're drawing up along the inner thighs and pulling up strongly from your pubic bone. Then gently take the twist in the opposite direction, hugging same hand to knee. Just gently hug with that elbow. Try to brace around the knee and hug it in towards your chest. Come back to the center. Think long and lengthened. Keep bracing softly with your right hand on the right knee and float the left arm up overhead. Bend the elbow, place the hand palm down between the two shoulder blades. Keep squeezing the two knees together along the midline of the body as you float the right arm overhead to grab hold of the outside of the left elbow and keep tucking it in. Stay here or find your underhand bear grip. Keep squeezing the two knees softly together along the midline of the body. Your right knee is going to want to keep falling open. You need to keep squeezing it back to center. Gently shake it out. And then when you're ready, sweep the legs up underneath you and ease your way into a 4-point kneeling position towards the back end of your mat. Check that your hands are stacking underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. From here, we're going to play in cat-cow. Inhale to prepare, giving me a concave shape, taking your chin and your bum bones to the ceiling. Exhale to round out in cat, nodding your chin to your chest, and you're going to move dynamically between the two. Exhaling to round out. Inhaling to come through neutral spine, working with control as you find the cow, and gently working a little release into the back, keeping your belly button softly pulled in to center. Find a neutral tabletop line. Tuck your toes under and float into a down dog position by piking your bum up towards the ceiling. Pedal your down dog out slowly by bending one knee and extending the other leg. You could give me a fisted line with the wrists looking in if you've got any carpal tunnel issues, or you could even give me a high fingertip line if you prefer. All right, still your down dog. And then reach with your left hand for your right ankle to tap it and come back to your mat. And then repeat on the other side, gently tapping across the midline of the body to reach or tap opposite hand to ankle. We're going to do that a few more times. holding the down dog frame, and then reach left hand to right ankle and hold the stretch for a couple of beats. So stretching on the diagonal, keep your belly button firmly pulled into center, and then ease your way back to your down dog frame. You're going to soften the right knee and kick up into a one-legged dog or a three-legged dog by bracing into that heel. Stay or play. Take it to an arching dog by bending the right knee and pointing the toes softly up to the ceiling. Then open up the right knee to the side of the room, dropping the foot to the left, arcing slightly through the back to look over the left shoulder for that hanging right foot. From here, you're going to work a big sweeping motion to come into a lunge line on the right. You're going to swing the right leg through. Coming into a high lunge line, check that you've got knee over ankle on the lead leg. You're going to pause here for a beat, dropping the hips down towards the floor, and then keep both sets of toes looking towards the front of the mat as you straighten up the front leg and take a wide pyramid stretch. Then move dynamically, bending and extending through the front leg while you keep that back leg long and lengthened with the heel off the floor. Just dropping the heel closer to the floor as you come into your pyramid, and then peeling it higher up off the mat as you come into your lunge line. Let's do two more. Then you're going to rotate to the left, opening up into a wide-legged standing straddle, either just holding your fingertips on the mat or reaching for the outer quadrant of your legs and running the hands down the outer quadrant, thinking happy baby, and trying to tuck around the outer quadrant of your feet as you softly drop the crown of your head as low to the floor as is comfortable for you. Play where you're at. Then gently walk your way back to your start position, finding your high lunge line. Drop the back knee, relax the back foot. Check that you've got knee over ankle on the lead leg. You're going to float both hands overhead and take a gentle, modified crescent lunge, softening the fingertips, but keep lengthening them towards the ceiling. Then drop the hands either side of the lead leg. We're coming into that little hamstring stretch that we played with earlier on in the week. You're going to walk your way back till your back hip stacks over the knee, disconnect the front toes, take a little hamstring stretch here. Then come back to your original bent front leg, either peeling up along the center line and stacking both hands behind your knees with your elbows nice and wide, or reach same hand to foot on the back and see if you can squeeze that leg in towards your bum. Let's do that one more time. Drop the back leg to the mat, float both hands overhead, taking a gentle crescent lunge, softening the shoulders away from your ears. Then dropping your fingertips to the mat, walk your weight back till the hip stacks over the knee. Straighten up on the front leg, pointing the toes up to the ceiling as you stretch through the hamstring. Bend the front leg, come back to your original starting position, either floating both hands and stacking them behind the knees, or keeping one hand on the knee and reaching back with the other hand to hug the foot in towards your bottom. Ease your way from here back into a 4-point kneeling position and play with your cat-cow to release the back. Exhaling to round out, inhaling to come through neutral spine with control, taking your chin and your bum bones to the ceiling. Check that your hands are stacked comfortably underneath your shoulders, knees stacked comfortably underneath your hips, and check that you're not swaying the body weight back and forth as you're moving. So you're holding your frame steady and you're just playing with the shape of your back. Ease your way from here into a down dog position by tucking your toes under, floating your bum up to the ceiling, and then taking your dog for a little walk by slowly bending the alternate knee and trying to connect as much of the other foot to the floor as you can. So the foot on the extended legs tries to connect to the mat as you pedal through. Keep your belly button firmly pulled into center as you cycle through, then hold your down dog frame. Taking a mini stretch into the front and the back chain of the body. You're going to reach right hand to left ankle. Tap it, come back to the mat, and then repeat on the other side. Almost a little X-like frame as you reach opposite hand to ankle, giving it a light tap. Do that a couple of times. And then we're going to hold the stretch on the left. So you're going to give me right hand to left ankle, and you're going to hold that stretch for a couple of breaths, trying to drop the heels of your feet as close to the floor as you can, keeping your belly button firmly pulled in and your bum piped up high to the ceiling. Come back to your down dog frame. Soften the left knee and kick up the left leg behind you, keeping your shoulders and your hips level on both sides. Belly button firmly pulled into center. Stay or arch the dog by bending the left foot, pointing the toes softly to the ceiling, opening up the knee to the side of the room, dropping to peek over the opposite shoulder, arching slightly through the back, drawing up along the inner thighs and pulling up strongly from the pubis towards the sternum. Swing the leg through. If the leg gets stuck on the mat, no worries. Corral that sucker and gently bring it forward. Make sure you've got knee over ankle. Coming into a high lunge position, both sets of feet looking to the front of the mat. Straighten up the front leg and then bend it. And do that about 5 or 6 times, trying to incrementally open up that little tight spot behind the lead leg. Keep your belly button firmly pulled in to center as you play. Last one, then you're going to pivot in the opposite direction, opening up, my butt into a wide-legged standing straddle, either both hands on the mat or float your hands either side to brace on the outside of the legs, and slowly brush or run your hands down the chain of the legs as you drop the crown of your head down as close to the floor as is comfortable for you, keeping your weight placement equal on the balls and the heels of your feet. Then gently rotate your body line to come back into your high lunge line on the mat. Relax the back knee, relax the back foot. Check that you've got knee over ankle. So if you need to wiggle that lead leg forward. Peel up along the center line and see if you can float both hands gently up to the ceiling. Keep gently leaning forward and pulling the belly button softly into center. Then drop both sets of hands to the floor. Walk your body weight back till your right hip stacks over the knee. Disengage the front toes from the mat, point the toes up to the ceiling and give me a long extended leg line, opening up that tightness behind the left knee and getting a nice stretch into the hamstring. Come back into your bent knee position on the lead leg, peeling up along the center line to just comfortably stack behind your knee, or keep the left hand comfortably braced on the top of that thigh and reach same hand to foot, gently hugging the right foot in, keeping your glute, your quad, and your hamstring nice and soft on the back leg. Let's do that one more time. Release the back leg. Float both hands overhead, coming into a gentle crescent lunge. Keep the shoulders softly dropping away from the ears. Keep pulling that belly button softly into center. Drop your hands to the mat. Walk your weight back. Extend the front leg, disengage the toes from the mat, stretch that hamstring, keep pulling the belly button softly into center, almost softly hollowing out through the belly. Ease your way back to your bent front leg position, either stacking one hand over the other or resting just the left hand on the left thigh and reaching back with the right hand to grab hold of the right foot, gently hugging it in towards the body line. From here, we're going to find our way into a standing frame. As you release the back leg, just gently step up and reposition yourself more or less in the middle of the mat. Knees are soft, feet are stacking in parallel. You're going to gently ragdoll roll up to restack your knees over your ankles, your hips over your knees, and your shoulders over your hips. Just give me 2 more roll downs from the parallel line just to relax and release through the back. Keep working the spine and the core as you mobilize down and back up with control, keeping the weight placement equal on the feet and thinking of restacking and realigning as you come up. Last one. Exhale to peel down. Inhale to peel back up. And we'll work a small little balancing sequence just to end off. Either keeping your feet in parallel, stacking underneath your hips, or you can bring them in a little bit narrower if you prefer. See what works for you. Find a focal point on the wall in front of you and stand up nice and tall. Arms at your sides, or you can brace the hands on your hip bones if you feel that this helps with your balance. You're going to think of drawing the right knee up into a tabletop line and then pushing and extending and holding that leg there. Then float the left arm up so that it's flush with your ear. Draw back into your tabletop position. Run the right hand down the entire length of your leg, reaching for the bridge of your foot, and then softly squeeze the two knees together. We're coming into dancer. You're going to gently kick the foot into your hand, hinge forward from the waist, keep framing your ear on the leg. Don't hug the foot into your bum. Kick the foot up and away from your bottom. From here, come into a seated figure four by drawing the knee up towards your nose, reaching for the foot, dropping the ankle atop your left thigh, gently floating your hands to prayer as you sit back into an imaginary chair with a figure four pattern traced through your legs. Inhale and come gently back up along the center line to shake out and rinse and repeat on the other side. Brace your hands on your hips or arms just gentle at your side. Think knee to nose on the left, and then extend and brace into that foot. Try not to lean back, try to keep your shoulders stacked over your hips and your hips over your knees. Then bend the lead leg, float your right arm overhead, run the left hand down the chain of the leg and reach for the bridge of your foot. Squeeze the two knees softly together. When you're ready, kick the foot into your hand, hinge forward from the hip, keep your right arm overhead, kick the foot up and away from your bottom, trying to come into a soft tabletop line on the mat. Inhale and come back along the center line. Think knee to nose on the left, reach for the foot. Tuck it into a figure four trace, dropping the ankle atop your right thigh as you sit your bum back into an imaginary chair. Float the hands into active prayer by pushing into the palms and allowing the elbows to softly track out. Feel your inner thighs connected. Feel that pull up from the pubis. Peel back up along the center line, interlacing your hands to fisting. Take a big breath in and float your fisted hands overhead, giving me a little tuck of your tailbone, belly button pulled in. Take a big breath in and on an exhale, come just off the center line to the left. Hold that stretch. Inhale, come back. Exhale, take it over to the other side. You're going to do that a few times, thinking of moving like a slow metronome. Keep your feet softly clipped together along the midline of the body and keep that little tuck of your tailbone with the belly button firmly pulled in. Last one to each side. Really coming out through the ribs. And then end off your practice by coming down along the center line, hands in prayer, pushing with enough gentle pressure to engage your whole trunk. Stop with the hands gently in front of your heart and take a little bow. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. Really hope that you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Remember to shoot me your comments in the comments box and to subscribe with your notification bell on. I shall see you all for Yoga on the Mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.